#ForestFairies. In a small cottage right next to the great Greenwood Forest lived a girl named Maria. Maria was a good girl, kind to animals, and helpful to her grandmother. But Maria had one big problem. She was too impatient. She wanted to see things now. Maria had heard all the old, exciting stories about the forest. She knew that deep inside the Greenwood, in a hidden place called the Whispering Glade, lived the forest fairies. These were not the tiny, silly bugs of a dream. These were the real, small people who cared for the trees, taught the flowers how to bloom, and made sure the streams always ran clean. The story said that if a human was very, very quiet and very, very still, they might just see a fairy. Maria wanted to see a fairy more than anything. Every day, she would creep into the forest. She would choose a comfortable spot near a bright patch of moss or a tall, ancient oak tree. "I will be quiet," she would promise herself. But after only 5 minutes, Maria would start to wiggle. "Did I come too late?" she'd think. She'd pull out a small piece of bread and start munching, making loud crumbs. Maybe they like bread? She would move a heavy rock, making a scrape and a thump, thinking, maybe they are hiding under here? She was always looking too hard. She was always trying too hard. The forest simply closed up. The birds stopped singing, the small deer darted away, and the fairies stayed deep inside their homes, laughing quietly at the loud, impatient girl. One afternoon, Maria came out of the forest looking defeated. She sat on the porch swing, kicking the dirt. Her grandmother was busy stirring a big pot of soup. "Still no fairies, Maria?" "No, Grandma," Maria sighed. "They aren't real, or they don't like me. I was quiet for almost 10 minutes today." Just then, their neighbor, an old gentleman named Master Peter, walked by. Master Peter was the town's woodcarver. He knew the forest like the back of his hand, but he never cut down a tree. He only took the branches that had already fallen. "Fairies are real, Maria," Master Peter said, his voice soft as moss. "But they don't like to be looked at. They like to be looked with." Maria frowned. "What does that mean, Master Peter?" Master Peter sat down next to her. "Imagine you want to catch a fish. If you run to the river, shout, and throw rocks, the fish swim away. But if you sit still, let your line go slack, and watch the water patiently, the fish forget you are there and come close." He held up a tiny wooden bird he was carving. It was so perfect, it looked like it might sing. Fairies are the same. Their magic of patience and trust. You must become part of the quiet, Maria. You must listen for them, not look for them. Master Peter gave her 3 simple tasks. Do not move. Find a spot and sit absolutely still, like a statue. Do not look. Close your eyes and only listen to the smallest sounds. Do not want. Forget why you are there. Just be a visitor. Maria agreed. It sounded harder than climbing a mountain, but she was ready to try. The next morning, Maria chose a spot deep inside the forest, near an ancient, bumpy stone that was covered in purple moss. She found a quiet log and sat down. First, she followed the first rule. Do not move. Her legs ached. A fly landed on her nose. She squeezed her eyes shut, fighting the terrible urge to scratch. She was completely still for a full hour. The world started to change. The birds that had been silent started to sing their full, happy songs. A shy, small rabbit hopped right past her feet, completely unafraid. She realized that the forest noise was just the sound of everyone being themselves. Next, she followed the second rule. Do not look. She closed her eyes. It was scary at first, but she listened hard. She could hear the soft, papery noise of leaves falling. She heard the tiny drip, drip, drip of water running through the moss. She heard the soft click of 2 small stones rolling together in the creek. Then, she followed the final, hardest rule. Do not want. She let the idea of seeing a fairy float out of her mind. She stopped wanting anything at all. She just sat and listened to the forest breathing. It was in this quiet moment, with her eyes closed, that she felt a tiny, strange shift in the air, like a bell ringing far away. It was a smell, like fresh honey mixed with cut grass. Maria decided to move slowly, keeping her eyes closed. She felt her way through the thick ferns, following the sound of that distant, soft ringing. She walked carefully, placing her feet as gently as a kitten. When she felt a sudden, strong wash of warm sunlight on her face, she knew she had arrived. She slowly opened her eyes. She was in the Whispering Glade. It wasn't a huge place, just a round clearing where the sunlight hit the ground perfectly. But the things inside were what made it magical. The grass was impossibly green. The flowers were taller and brighter than any Maria had ever seen. Every leaf on every tree seemed to shimmer with its own tiny light. And there were the fairies. They were not dressed in glitter. They looked like small, busy people wearing clothes the color of bark and leaves. They were focused on their work. One fairy, no bigger than Maria's thumb, was painting the stripes onto a ladybug with a brush made of a single feather. Another group was gathering dewdrops in tiny acorn cups to feed the baby mushrooms. A third was working on the mossy stone Maria had been sitting near, gently polishing it with soft, dry petals. Maria saw one fairy, wearing a bright green tunic, sitting on a daisy right near her foot. This fairy, named Flicker, had wings like dragonfly glass and eyes that were the color of warm honey. Maria was so amazed, she forgot to move. She was still, quiet, and watching with the forest. Flicker looked straight at Maria. He did not look scared. He looked curious. "Hello, quiet girl," Flicker said, his voice sounding exactly like the light ringing of a small, perfect bell. Maria whispered, "Hello, Flicker." "You are very still," Flicker observed. "The other times you came, you were louder than a falling tree. Why the change?" "Master Peter told me that to see the fairies, I had to trust the forest. I stopped trying to find you, and I started letting the forest find me." Flicker smiled. "That is the great truth. We hate people who search for us because they try to take our magic. But we love people who wait for us because they want to share the quiet." Maria spent the afternoon in the glade. She saw that the fairies' work was not easy. They had a big problem. The main vine that carried the water down the oak tree was terribly tangled. The water was blocked and the baby mushrooms were starting to wilt. The fairies were small and the vine was thick and rough. "We can't fix it," Flicker sighed. "We don't have the strength to pull that knot. If we don't get water, the glade will start to fade." Maria, who loved working with rope and knots at the harbor, looked closely. The tangle was complex, but she saw a way to untwist the ropes without pulling hard. "I can fix that," Maria offered. "I have bigger, stronger hands than you, but I will be gentle. I promise." Flicker looked worried. "A human touching our magic? That is forbidden." Maria looked Flicker right in his honey-colored eyes. She held out her empty hands, palms up. She didn't move fast, and she didn't grab the vine. She just waited, showing them she had no bad intention. "You said you like people who trust the forest," Maria said softly. "You trusted me enough to let me sit here. Now, trust my hands to help your home." Flicker looked at the other fairies, who were sad about the thirsty mushrooms. They nodded their small heads. "All right, quiet girl," Flicker said. "Be gentle." Maria slowly, gently, and with great care, used her fingers to untangle the rough, thick vine. She didn't pull or snap anything. She found the right loops and twists, and slowly, the knots came loose. With a final, soft plop, the main vine straightened. The water rushed down the tree. The baby mushrooms sighed with relief, drinking the cool water. The whole glade seemed to shine a little brighter. The fairies cheered with tiny, bell-like sounds. Flicker flew up to Maria's ear. "You saved our glade," he said. "You used your strength gently. You are the kind of human we hope for." Flicker handed Maria a small, folded object. It was a single, perfect seed. It looked like shining gold dust poured into a crystal shell. "This is a seed of quiet sight," Flicker explained. "Plant it next to your door. It will grow into a small, simple flower. That flower won't give you magic powers, but it will help you remember how to stop and listen. It will help you see the things that don't want to be seen. Use your eyes to see the world, but use your ears to listen to its heart." Maria thanked Flicker and the fairies. She promised never to tell anyone where the glade was, knowing that the secret was what kept the place safe. She left the forest, moving slowly and quietly, the beautiful ringing of the glade staying in her ears. Maria did as she was told. She planted the golden seed next to her cottage door. It grew into a very simple, pale green flower, nothing fancy. But every time Maria looked at the flower, she remembered to stop. She remembered to be still. She remembered to listen to the soft breathing of the world. She still saw the big things, but she also saw the small things. The beautiful pattern on a stone, the tiny smile on her grandmother's face, and the quiet effort of the smallest bee. Maria never bothered the fairies again, but she often went to the forest, sat still, and listened to their happy, busy sounds. She learned that the greatest magic is not in what you find, but in the peaceful way you look for it. The story of the forest fairies teaches us the simple lesson. Magic doesn't hide because it's scared. It hides because it's quiet. If you want to see the truly wonderful things in life, be it the magic of a forest, a good idea, or a friend's true feeling, you must stop running, stop trying to force things, and simply be still. The best things in life come when you stop looking for them and start listening for them. Please subscribe the channel to get more stories and like the video. Thank you.